So I'm started recording. So let's first talk about square roots. In general, square roots is the opposite of squaring something. We're asking, what do we do to get the same number? So for like number one, my goal is always to get x squared by itself. So I do subtract 6, subtract 6. I get x squared equals 4. So then I am going to square roots. When you square root a square, the little 2 just gets canceled, which means what's underneath it stays exactly the same. In this case, x. When you square root a number, you must include the plus or minus. So, because positive 2 times 2 gives you 4, and negative 2 times 2 gives you positive 4. So you have to include both. Oh, one fact. I talked about no solutions during the notes. No solutions on the test, okay?
Yeah.
There might be in the packet, but
So you can't get a negative
is
square
number 3 a
root?
no solution? Let me get there. I don't know.
You can't get a negative square root.
Yes.
I have a question. Is this video going to be right back today or no?
I'm recording it now. Then I just upload it to YouTube within 10 minutes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Guys, I think I might actually feel
What's up? When you're on the art trip? Let me look into the art trip thing because that's a. I know a couple people from my other class also have it. I know. All right. Shh. Shh. Okay. So x equals plus or minus 2. All right. One more time. X equals plus or minus 2. Let's talk about number 2 here, okay?
You quickly skip the 3.
X minus 5 squared is equal to 36. Even though the parentheses is all squared, I can still square root. So I'm going to square root this side. I'm going to square root this side. So x minus 5 equals plus or minus 6. In this scenario, I still have an equation along with something to do. So I'm going to split it into 2 parts. X minus 5 equals positive 6, and x minus 5 equals negative 6. So all I did is I split it to the positive negative. Now I will solve both of them just like a normal question.
Where did the square go?
The square here. When I square root it, I cancel out. So that's going to be x equals 11 plus 5 plus 5, x equals negative 1. This is both of the answers, okay? Number 3. This is by completing the square. Here's a reminder of the steps. Step 1, you want to set it up as ax squared plus bx equals c. So you want all your constants, the numbers that have no variable on one side, and all your variables on the other side. Which means in a question like this, I'm going to do plus 6 to move it to this side. And then minus 4x to move it this side. So x squared plus 6x equals 11.
When you square something, you already
So now I need to add step 2. I'm going to take b, divide it by 2, and then square it. Then add to both sides. So we're going to do that.
Wait, and how do you know which one of these?
B is always the one with the x to the 1 power.
Oh, this is different because it says solve by completing the square instead of.
Exactly.
So if the same problem said solve the square root, then you do square root.
It would just say solve. And you know it is because it's just one x. This problem occurs because we have x squared and x.
You can't do the square root of two x's.
Two different x's, like x squared and x. All right. So I got to take 6, cut it in half, which is 3, and then square it, which is 9. So I'm going to do plus 9 here, and I'm going to do plus 9 here. So plus 9 here, plus 9 here. No, I will not give you the formula. On the test? No. No. So I'm going to factor this. What multiplies to 9 that adds to 6? X plus 3, x plus 3. So I write it x plus 3 squared. Reminder, it will always be the number before you square. And that's going to equal 20. It's okay, it's not clean. So we're going to square root both sides. When you square root both sides, is x plus 3 equals the square root 20. Now, the square root 20 is not clean. So you just leave it as the plus or minus the square root 20. It is some decimal. I don't want you to solve that because that's just a calculator.
It's like 4 if we solve it?
Yes.
So you can't.
So minus 3. Your final answer in this case is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 20. You did a completing the square? Just a reminder. Guys in the back. Just a reminder. Siegel over there. Just a reminder. It is going to be, if it's a clean number, you actually do the math. This one is the square root, so you leave it like that. Let's do number 4. Number 4. The steps for this one is to set it. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So you're setting equal to 0, which means in this scenario,
minus 4x minus 5.
Minus 4x, minus 4x, minus 5, minus 5.
So x squared plus 6x.
So x squared plus 6x minus 11 equals 0.
And then you do like the.
So now you have to do the formula. The formula is negative b plus or minus the square root b squared. You do a couple of practice, you start to remember it. 4ac over 2a. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So just make sure you identify what your a, b, and c is. So a is 1, b is 6, and 6 is negative 11. C is negative 11. So we're going to plug it into the equation. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared. It's still b, so it's 6 squared. Minus 4 times 1 times negative 11. All over 2a. 2 times 1, which it will be 2, yeah. How I like to do it is I do the stuff inside the square root on top. So this is 36. 6 squared is 36. Guys, one more time. Please be quiet. Hold up. This one here, what I type in the calculator is negative 4 times 1 times negative 11. So I get a positive 44. So now I'm going to rewrite it. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 80 over 2. I would do the square root of 80. Problem, square root of 80 is not clean. You're done at that point. If it's not clean.
What about if you do, why can you do 80 over 2? Simplify 80.
One's in the square root, one's not in the square root, so they can't interact like that. They can't interact like that now.
Oh, so it's easy.
Yeah.
That's your final answer?
Yes. Reminder, if it is clean, actually do the math. Number 5, solve the system of equations on the back. Number 1, set equal to y. So make sure it's at y equals. I'll be straight up on your test, so it will automatically y equals. Then set equal to each other. So my first step, I'm going to set equal to each other. Because they're both y, I can set them equal to each other. So x minus 1 equals x squared plus 5x plus 3. Now, this is really important. Technically, x has to be by itself, so minus 3 on both sides. So it should look like this.
Pretty bad.
All right. Now, I need to solve, by the way, using any method.
Are we allowed to write this? Are we allowed to solve for this on the test? Like this?
Like you use the square root, actually?
Yeah. We have a calculator every single.
I'd rather you not, honestly. I'd rather you not.
I'm gonna do it on by accident. That's like the way like I was taught. You taught us.
As long as you show your work all the way, I'll still give you full credit, but I'd rather you not, okay?
Yo, yo,
Minus 5, you make this negative 11, you make this 6.
All right. This is the hard part for some people. Step 2 is going to be using any method. So now I have the freedom to choose. I could choose factoring. So factoring is set equal to 0. So let me write it over here. So it's going to be subtract x, plus 1, plus 1. Then I get 0 equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. All I did is set it equal to 0. Then I asked myself, what multiplies to 4? That adds to 4. 2 and 2. So 2 times 2, that equals 4. So 0 equals x plus 2. X plus 2. Then I have to split and solve for each one. Lucky for me, they're the same thing on both sides. So x equals negative 2. That's one way to do it. Another way you could do it is complete the square. So we could complete the square. This is really important to know. You have the option to do it however you want. You could do factoring. You could do to complete the square. So in this case, I need c on one side. So I'll do minus 3, and then minus x because I want the x's on one side. So negative 4 equals x squared plus 4x. And this one, I'm going to do complete the square, which is b over 2, and then square it. So I'm going to take b, which is 4 in this case. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then square it, which ends up being 4. So I'm going to add 4 on this side. I'm going to add 4 on this side. In this scenario, this is going to be 0. And I'm going to rewrite this as x plus 2 squared. Square root both sides. 0 does not get a plus or minus because positive 0, negative 0. There's no negative 0. X plus 2 minus 2 minus 2. X equals negative 2. Notice I got the same answer. You could do quadratic formula. I'll do that third. Oh, square root of 0, 0. 0 times 0, 0. You could do negative 2, negative 2. That's negative 2.
Y equals x minus 1. X is negative 2.
I don't know what you're saying. The last thing you could do is quadratic formula. So then, I subtract x, plus 1, plus 1. 0 equals x squared, plus 4x, plus 4. Then I'll do the formula. Guys, it got too loud again. It got too loud again. So A is going to be 1, B is 4, C is 4. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root, 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4 over 2 times 1. This is 16 minus 16. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root second equals 2. The square root of 0 is 0. So negative 4 plus or minus 0 over 2. Guys, you're way too loud. I can barely hear. Shh. Negative 4 plus or minus 0 divided by 2. That's negative 4 divided by 2. That's negative 2. So notice, no matter which method I choose, I'll get it. That's the end of the video. Oh, that's a good question. How do I check my work? Yes. Now, here's the important part. You're not done with the system equation.
Oh, you got a y, you got x, y.
Step 3, plug
I'm gonna forget that.
4y. Hopefully you don't.
Remind me on the test.
I'll be like, did you forget something? If you forgot something.
Okay, and then you do it on the left one because you want it easier for you.
Yeah, so you can plug it into either one. I'll plug it into the bottom one.
It'll be
Y equals negative 2 minus 1. Y equals negative 3. Negative 2 comma. Oh, that's where you're saying negative 3. My bad. I was still doing the x's. That's why.
How do you do the square root?
You see how this is squared? You see how there's a square root on top of it? You gotta click the blue button to get the blue stuff.
How do you turn it on?
Oh, turn it on is on, and then you try to do the square root of negative. Square root of negatives don't exist. But I'll tell you on the test you're not gonna square root of negatives. So you can do. Let's say we do. What's the square root of 16? So you do second square root. 16. That's 4. So don't forget.
You know that the next day it's like, wait,
2 minus 1 is